Who makes it to the Gold Cup roster in 2021? Well, I don't know who makes it, but in this video what we're going to do is we're going to make up a scenario is if I was Berhalter, who would I bring for the Gold Cup? And thank goodness I'm not Berhalter. With that said, hi, if you're new here, I'm Filippo, host of Tactical TV, and hopefully Dustin, our producer, is doing a great job to make me look nice on camera, you know? Because I'm no Sebastian Lletget, so I give him a lot of work with that. But with that said, I'm starting to get off topic. So yeah, in this video we're going to speculate, but I'm going to be using a realistic scenario. We know Pulisic won't be there, we know Giovanni Reina, John Brooks, our main guys won't be there, Serginho Dest, Zach Steffen, they won't be there. So we do need to be realistic. And what is my goal if I was the coach of the US men's national team for Gold Cup? My goal would be, one, obviously, to win Gold Cup. That has to be one of our goals. Number two is to prepare players for World Cup qualifying in the future. So I would bring some young talents, and you guys will notice that throughout the video. With that said, I would like for you guys to comment down below your 23-man roster for Gold Cup. And not what Berhalter would do, what you would do. That's what this video is about. It's not about Berhalter. We already did a video predicting what Berhalter would do, so you guys can check that out. I'll probably put it on the description, or we'll put a card up here, something like that. Now, we do know also that Mexico won't bring their A squad. They probably won't even bring their B squad, so we could bring some young guys to test them out and hopefully even win a trophy with them. Please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video. Yes, it's a great way to help us share this video so we can get more US men's national team fans to join us and we can continue to grow. You guys have been fantastic. I've been talking way too much. Roll that intro. Let's start the episode. Okay, let's start with the goalkeepers. And obviously, from a 23-man roster, we have 3 goalkeepers. So my 3 goalkeepers are Matt Turner from New England Revolution, Sean Johnson, and Chiture Odunze. That plays for the Leicester U23. So I would also want Ethan Horvath. I would be 100% okay with it. He was absolutely fantastic versus Switzerland, and he was also one of the main reasons we beat Mexico in the final. But I think Ethan Horvath needs to establish himself in the club right now, become a starter. He's probably going to sign a new contract. At the time of this recording, he hasn't signed for a new club yet. He needs to sign. He needs to be there in preseason. Preseason in Europe is in July, so I don't want Ethan Horvath in this roster. Plus, we need to see Matt Turner a little bit. We saw Zach Steffen. We saw Ethan Horvath. Technically, Matt Turner was our number 2 option, so I want to see Matt Turner. Sean Johnson, with his experience, will be his backup, and we'll bring in Chiture Odunze in a similar way that we brought David Ochoa, Chiture Odunze, to gain some experience. Okay, one important thing to point out, this video was recorded in June 8th, okay, and we're uploading probably a week after. We've been very busy, but I recorded it prior, so probably we could have some players injured or some news come out, so some things could change. But essentially, based off the news on June 8th, this is the roster I bring for Gold Cup. All right, now the fullbacks. So I'm going to tell you the 4 fullbacks I'm going to pick, and then I'll explain to you why I picked each one. So for the right back, I would bring DeAndre Yedlin and Julian Araujo. And now for the left back position, I will bring George Bello and Jonathan Gomez from Louisville. Alright, so based off Berhalter's comments, we won't have Brian Reynolds. He said that Brian Reynolds has a new coach in Roma and he does need to be there in preseason, so we won't see Brian Reynolds. I did want to place Brian Reynolds, so I had to remove him. So DeAndre Yedlin is experienced, eager to play with the US men's national team. We saw against Mexico, he was a straight up dog in that right back position. Amazing, physical. We know he lacks some technical ability here and there, but DeAndre Yedlin brings experience and he's ready to play. Now, Araujo as the right back, he's one of our most promising right backs as well. He's very reliable on defense, could improve a little bit on offense, has been good for LA Galaxy. Sometimes they play him as a winger for some reason, but overall I think he's a solid backup for DeAndre Yedlin, and that's the 2 fullbacks I would bring for the right back position. Now let's go and let's talk a little bit about the left backs. So for the left back, we won't have Robinson or Dest, which technically would be our 2 left backs right there. I do not rate Sam Vines very highly. I don't think he shows much of being a great defender on MLS. And he also doesn't show much on offense as well. With that said, I would much rather have George Bello that offers something very good on offense and does lack a little bit on defense, but he's also not bad on defense by any means. Now, in regards to Jonathan Gomez, he's maybe one of our top prospects on the left back position, being linked to many European clubs and currently playing for Louisville and at USL could be the questionable part from having him here, but L3 called him up into camp to try to recruit him. With that said, we need left back depth and even a start at this point because we're not so sure about Robinson yet. We need to bring in Jonathan Gomez. That's just what I would do to try to maybe lock him in with the US men's national team. Would he accept it? I don't know. If he doesn't accept it, then yes, Sam Vines is my other option. But I would love to see Jonathan Gomez there. All right, the center backs. And this can get a little tricky because we don't know the situation with Chris Richards, but let's get to the center backs. So the 4 center backs I would bring would be Miles Robinson, Eric Palmer-Brown, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and Chris Richards. But look, I'm going to explain each one. If we don't have Chris Richards, which maybe he won't be released, maybe he won't leave, he needs to be in preseason in Europe, I don't know the situation right now, I would actually bring James Sands from New York City FC to replace Chris Richards. I know he's nowhere near the same level as Chris Richards, I'll explain that, but that's who I'd bring, just letting you guys know. So this is not really a young set of center backs, but it's not very old as well. We have one very young guy, which would be James Sands in this case, or Chris Richards if he was there. But if you look at it, Miles Robinson, not that young, and he's had a very good season for Atlanta this year, despite not having a very good season last year with some injuries, and he might head to Europe soon. He could head to Europe, and I think he's ready, and he should test himself there. Eric Palmer-Brown was very good at Austria Wien, likely going to go elsewhere since he was on loan, and the only issue I noticed with Eric Palmer-Brown specifically is when a team presses, his passing rate goes down so much. So I don't know, his passing seems good, he's very athletic as well, but it seems like when he's pressed and time and space is compressed, he's not as good. But let's keep going. Now, Cameron Carter-Vickers was absolutely fantastic in the championship. A lot of the Premier League's teams are interested in him. Maybe he'll go there, maybe he'll go to the Belgium League. His technical ability is not that good, but his positioning, physicality, all of that is absolutely fantastic. Now, let me talk a little bit about James Sands. In case Chris Richards can't go, I don't even need to justify why I would want Chris Richards there, because he's just absolutely fantastic and maybe our second best center back. James Sands is the players I really like right now. I rate him very highly. He's nothing brilliant, obviously, but his positioning is fantastic. Passing ability as well. Interceptions are amazing at age 20. I would want to bring him in. I believe he has enough quality for our B squad. And he's also an option for the 6. Even though I like him a little better at the center back, and I believe New York City is playing him more as a center back, I would also consider him at the 6. But let's keep moving forward with the video. Those are the center backs. Oh, and just a quick explanation. Some of you might wonder why you're not bringing Walker Zimmerman, MLS Defender of the Year. Well, the thing with Walker Zimmerman is he works very well in low blocks, and he doesn't work very well the way the Usmnt plays, in my personal opinion. And I don't think we're going to play a low block. We're not going to be defensive against any team in CONCACAF, so I would not bring Walker Zimmerman. Okay, now we're going to go to the midfields, and hopefully by now you guys hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. You know the deal, and share the video to help us grow, as you guys always do, and it's been absolutely fantastic. Let me go to the list of players I would bring. So for the midfield, I would bring Owen Otasowie, Gianluca Busio, Caden Clark, Eric Williamson, Luca De La Torre, Julian Green, and Brendan Harrison. Now, this one was tricky. It was very tricky for a few reasons. Let's start with Owen Otasowie. It's tricky because I didn't want Owen Otasowie to miss preseason at whatever club he is, if he's at the Wolves or if he's getting a loan, but I think he'll play a big role on this team, and it'll be very good for him to showcase his talent, along with getting some experience in CONCACAF, a little more experience, and playing with the U.S. men's national, and we can get a better look on him as well. Gianluca Busio, again, look, this guy is versatile. He can play the false 9, the 10, the 8, the 6. He's very technical, aggressive on defense when required, distributes the game well. One of our top talents and could be heading to the Serie A in Italy very soon. Plus, he's a fantastic free kick set piece taker, which is very underrated, and we should have a player that can do so. Along with that, he should have been in the Olympic roster, but that's just a completely different topic. Okay, the other player is Caden Clark. Caden Clark has been balling out in MLS, been absolutely fantastic, scoring goals, finding a way. When he plays central, he distributes the game very well, great passes. Obviously, a lot of the New York Red Bull players are not able to connect it in the same way for him, but he has been very good. I think Caden Clark does deserve a spot in this roster, and he should be there, and he could be a difference maker. Maybe not a starter, maybe a starter, I don't know. Plus, I don't know if many of you know, Caden Clark has played in the past with Matthew Hoppe, which I'm going to talk about later. Yes, spoiler alert, Matthew Hoppe is in this video. I did put him in the roster, and they have connected very well during their time in the Barca Academy. So it'd be interesting to maybe see Matthew Hoppe and Caden Clark combo for a little bit. But let's keep going to the midfield. Alright, so Luca De La Torre does not bring that much experience to this team, but he has been very good in camp in March. He's been very good for the Atlas this season. He can play the 8, can play the 6 for us, and he's been very good in that. And I think he will play a key role in this team and likely be a lock-in starter. The other name I talked about is Julian Green, and we need some experience if we want to try to win this tournament, along with the player being technical and being good and having enough quality. And Julian Green brings that, and he's back in Bundesliga, and I think he deserves a chance at the U.S. men's national team once again. I would bring Julian Green into camp. Last but not least, Brendan Harrison. And the question in regards to Brendan Harrison is, will he be released or not? That's the question. Is he going to go to Salzburg and not come back? The thing is, Salzburg is a selling team. They usually develop and sell. So I could see them releasing Brendan Harrison, as that will get him more exposure. And I think he can play a key role for this team. Not the most experienced player, but he has some experience with the U.S. men's national team. He's been fantastic, and he can be the man in this team, honestly, if he comes called up. If he's not called up, Another option that many of you might not like, but I am okay with it, would maybe bring Sebastian Lletget as an attacking midfielder option. That would be another option as well. But I would honestly bring Brenden Aaronson if released, and I think Salzburg would release him. Okay, we've reached the forwards, and I'm going to bring 3 wingers and 2 center forwards. And I know, you could be saying, why 3 wingers? Why not 4? Right? That's usually what coaches do. I'm bringing 3 wingers because I'm bringing Brenden Aaronson and Caden Clark, and both of them can play at the winger position as well if needed. Actually, Brenden Aaronson has been playing more as a winger for us than as a midfielder, so I didn't see the necessity of bringing 4 wingers. Along with that, sources have told me that Berhalter has used Matthew Hoppe at the wing position at practice, so maybe, let's say if I was Berhalter, maybe I could use Matthew Hoppe there. Matthew Hoppe's in my list, as I already said, but I wouldn't use Hoppe as a winger. To me, he's the center forward. But let's go to our list. So for the winger position, I would bring Chris Miller from Orlando City, Conrad de la Fuente from Barcelona, Tyler Boyd, that's currently now apparently at Besiktas after the loan, Daryl DK, and Matthew Hoppe. Conrad de la Fuente is more of my gamble pick. The talent is there, but he has yet to prove it. He would be one of my bench options because I believe he has the technical ability and talent to do so, but we do need to see a lot more from Conrad. He needs to play on a higher level, and it can also be a great place for him to showcase his ability and get a loan out of Barcelona to play. Now, Tyler Boyd, he brings some experience, and with the B-level squad, I believe he's good enough. He's a good pick, considering we don't have Pulisic, Weah, Reyna, even Jordan Morris at this point that's injured. And plus, he's going to be playing for Besiktas in the Turkish league, which is a pretty good team there. So I would put Tyler Boyd there, and I think he could probably start. The other pick is Chris Miller from Orlando City. He's been good for Orlando City. I do think he has technical limitations, but he's a hard worker, high work rate, very humble, very focused. He can play a key tactical role in this team. He brings something different. Him and Conrad de la Fuente are very different when it comes to the technical standpoint and work rate, so I think he can balance that out for us. He's a different option. He can play on the right, play on the left. Chris Miller is a great option. Now let's talk about the center forwards, which is Daryl DK and Matthew Hoppe. So the reason I would bring DK and Hoppe is because they both bring something different. Now, I believe DK can play a big role, and we will need someone like that with all that physicality in CONCACAF, and he might be our guy. I really believe in Daryl DK. But if we need someone more technical with clinical finishes, a poacher essentially, that would probably be Hoppe. That's the reason I would bring both of them. Plus, the 9 role in the US men's national team is open. Josh Sargent was fairly disappointing in Nations League. Siabachu or Pifok was also not very good. So I'd like to give a look on Daryl DK and Matthew Hoppe, and this would be a great opportunity as a coach to get a look on them. And no, I would not bring Jesse Zardes. Yes, some of you might be missing Paul Riola as well. I would not bring Paul Riola as well. Okay, just to make that clear, I don't think they would add much to this team in my personal opinion. With that said, guys, I want to thank you all very much for watching. Hopefully you commented by now your 23-man roster. It doesn't have to be what Berhalter would do. Just do your 23-man roster based off the information you have out there. It's just what I would do. I could be totally wrong. I'm not saying I know more than Berhalter, but I think you guys do know more than Berhalter based off the comments I see. And I want to thank you all very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. I always do the blah, blah, blah. Have a great day.